So good morning, everyone. We're going to start off today with lots of really amazing stories from Apex. But before we do, a couple announcements. If you haven't already, please check out our silent auction items. Artists from all over Sedona came to us. And the winning stories, because we actually had a tie for first place, will be read for the first time at a champagne brunch. But Gail Helfer, one of the winners, has been sitting in the front row the whole time. And I just wanted to point that out because her story, many of them, and Kelly's here, she can attest that we were just sobbing reading these stories because where it came from, they're not sad, it's where they came from and how they literally will help change and rewrite the fairy tales that people still believe to this day. So congratulations, Gail, thank you for coming. I've been asked to introduce these guys, and so I'm just going to have fun with it because they're going to talk about Apex. I don't need to talk about Apex. So these two Muppets show up at my house with an RV, a truck, a trailer, 5 volunteers, 6 Wolfdogs, and my neighbors love us now. Oh my gosh, they send us flowers and cookies. They're so happy we're here today. And the true story is I had the honor of meeting these two at the Wolf Sanctuary that we worked at together. And actually, I didn't have the same days as these guys. And so I didn't get to know them as well as some of the other folks there. And then one day I heard that they had saved these wolf puppies. And I really wanted to see the wolf puppies. So I invited myself over to their house when Thor and Loki and Luna were just little babies. And the first thing Paula did was get me down on the floor, and I got to pretend I was eating kibble with Thor out of his bowl because they wanted them to not to have any food issues, right? That I could just, and so that was my very first experience in their home with their pack, and it was amazing. And ever since then, we've become amazing friends, family. They're definitely our pack, including time in there. And I'm really, really thrilled to be doing Sedona Wolf Week with them, and I hope many other Wolf Weeks all over, everywhere with you guys, forever and ever and ever. So with that, it is my pleasure, my honor, my love to introduce Steve Wastell and Paula Ficara from Apex.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had a few laughs and we've shed a lot of tears together. Especially the two savvy Brits. I might shed a few today in the speech cues. Don't be alarmed.
Thank you guys so much for coming, by the way, this morning to join us in this.
Yes. My microphone working? Okay. She usually turns me off, so I can't speak. I thought she'd done that. So today we're going to do something really different. We usually do a talk on wolves in the wild, and we talk about packs of families and stuff like that. But after our presentation today, we have the wonderful Oliver Starr, who probably does it way better than we do. So we're like, let's not even do it. We're going to do something different. We're going to talk about Wolfdog rescue today. And we're going to kind of just keep it casual. We're going to interact. We're going to talk about our lives a little bit. We're going to open up and get a little personal. We're going to tell you how we got into this mess in the first place. And we're going to tell you some of the sad stories, and we're going to tell you some of the happy stories. And hopefully we'll laugh and cry together. And then we've got 2 special guests coming to visit us in a little while. So let's start. I literally put this together this week, so it's probably going to work. So who are we, and how did we get here? You guys ever hear anyone ever tell you to just trust the universe and let go? Yeah. Pretty hard to do. Though we'd like to do that, we really wanted to do that, and then we just got booted off the cliff. So it never really happened to us. We never actually made the choice to just go. We got pushed really hard off the cliff. Lost my job, had some health issues, spent our 401k trying to make another wolf rescue work, had no money, just completely fell apart, and then ended up adopting a bunch of wolf dogs, and we're like, ugh. So now here we are, we let go, and we trusted the universe because we had no choice. And we ended up in this place in front of all of you, with all these wonderful people and this beautiful pack that we have. And it seems like we're protected all the time. It seems like we're guided all the time. But it started in 2009.
2009. I was an actor in Hollywood, well, in New York first, and then came to Hollywood without any film credits, so at a later age, and didn't really understand how Hollywood worked, and so didn't realize that I had one foot in the grave, according to a lot of people out there. So I struggled. Steve is also an actor from New York, and struggled for quite a while until I just couldn't take it anymore because my skin is just not that thick when it comes to that. I got really mad. Finally, I had literally been told that I had one foot in the grave, and that made me so angry that I decided to give the finger to Hollywood, and I started an online e-zine called Cougar Magazine. And it was tongue-in-cheek. It was Cougar with a K. And it was a lifestyle e-zine to encourage and empower women who were feeling the same way as I was, who were getting a little bit older and being told that we were too old, and So even though it was a little tongue-in-cheek, it became very popular very quickly, and that was before e-zines really even existed. So it was kind of this whole new kind of like experiment that I was doing. So we heard about this Wolfdog rescue in the area, and that you could actually go hiking with the pack. And I thought, oh my God, women who run with the wolves, let's go interview them. And then this is an activity that women can go do and feel empowered. So Steve tagged along with me. We went out with Vernon, our friend, who's going to be here reading the fairy tales. He was helping me, and we went out to interview this guy and see his young, very young Wolfdog rescue that was just taking off. And by the end of the interview, I looked at him and I said, okay, where do we sign up? This is amazing. And I've loved wolves ever since I was a little girl, kind of like Roxy here, you just have that, for some reason you don't even know why, you just feel a draw to them, and I have since I was little. So the opportunity to work with them, I never even thought it would ever be possible. I thought it would just be a dream that I would have.
And he said, yeah, sure, Sundays are free. And it was actually, have you seen the show Prolies and Pitbulls? Pitbulls and Prolies, I always get that backwards. It's Tia Torres. She had a pit bull rescue, and she had about 250 pit bulls there, and at the top she had some wolves that she'd rescued from a place called Grandma's Rescue that had closed down. And so this gentleman had taken over it, and kind of in the beginning kind of pretended he knew what he was doing, but after about 2 weeks of being around him, he realized he had no idea what he was doing, and neither did we. And all of a sudden we had Sundays was our day. So we have 16 wolf dogs, and we went every day, every Sunday, and then it was every Saturday, and then it was every Monday, and slowly our lives started to dwindle, and
we fell more and more in love with these animals, and more in love with the mission, and we started doing all the research we could, and reaching out to the wolf community and wolf dog community, and just like sponges wanted to learn everything we could. We were so amazed. And I would find myself at auditions literally going like this, when is this going to be over so I can get back to the wolves? And that's when the light bulb went off, and I was like, I don't even enjoy this anymore. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun, it's annoying, and this is my new path. So I just said, screw it. And I quit acting, and I just jumped into wolf and wolf dog rescue and advocacy 100%. And this one supported and kind of felt the same way, came along for the ride. And so that's...
Here we are. And over the last 8 years, we've rescued over 60 between Wolf Connection and the place we're at now. Rescued over 60 or rehabilitated, at least helped rehabilitate over 60 animals. We had no idea what we were doing. We read a lot of books, and then we met Taboo, our alpha, who some of you have met already, and she literally taught us everything we know. And I knew the day that I got booted off that cliff there was a fire up at the ranch, and I was bartending in LA, and I told my boss, there's a fire up at the ranch, it's getting close to the ranch, I might have to leave. And he said, you have people to serve, you can't leave. And I turned around and said, if it's life and death of these animals, I'm leaving. And that was a really stupid thing to say, because I got to leave the restaurant about 3 weeks after that. And the other bartender said, why would you say that to your boss? I was like, I don't know, I realized there's more important things in life. And so We started Apex Protection Project 2 years ago, and I have a little bit of a video. This is a little dated, but because we've done so much more in the last year than we ever believed we ever would. But this is just a little 3-minute video of some of the things and some of the places that we've been and some of the animals that we've rescued. She has a few more additions since that video, but we haven't quite got to them. So, Light of the Wolfdog in America, from our point of view. Not from everyone's point of view, but from a rescue's point of view.
Okay. That's my turn.
Press this at 3 o'clock in the morning.
It's interesting because, you know, so many are aware of the plight of the wild wolf in America, you know, and all of us are fighting and advocating for wolves in the wild, not realizing that there's a whole nother part of this epidemic and this issue, which is captive bred wolf dogs in this country. And that's something that we wanted to share with you guys because it's not well known. You know, the question is, you know, legal or illegal. And the success rate of wolf dogs, of course, first of all, is very low. It's definitely not your average pet. It's not a pet. And so we end up, rescues all over around the country are full because there's so many, because it's so unsuccessful. But one of the main problems is that, you know, our wolf dogs, are they a breed? You know, are they a recognized breed? Are they legal or are they illegal where you live? It's different from state to state and from county to county. And is it legal to breed them here? Is it legal to own one here? They're all different kinds of rules and regulations, and they're up for interpretation. So it's very questionable. And so owning one comes with a lot of risks, because even if you think it's legal in your county, you may find out that they're interpreting it differently than you thought. So we have, you know, from our perspective, we have our own, over the years, you know, we've gone through many different opinions. You know, when we first started out, when we saw the epidemic ourselves, we were like, these should be illegal, completely illegal. And as you work with wolf dogs in the wolf dog world, and you start to realize, you start to learn more and more, you start to kind of come up with, you know, your own concept of what could make this work so that the success rate is higher, and so that less animals die is the main thing.
What do we believe? There was a time when we believed it should be legal, but illegal. But really, when you make an animal illegal in the country, then they get no vet care. People still are going to breed them. They're still going to be out there. They're still going to be in the world. Yet now you have to hide them away, and that leads to more cruelty, less vet care, all that kind of stuff. So there are success rates out there. People do own wolf dogs, and they are successful. But we see the majority that are not. And I don't want to give a percentage, but you know, 60-70% of wolf dogs that are bought in this country usually end up in a rescue or euthanized by the time they're 3, because people buy them not understanding what they are buying, and they don't do the research. It's a full-time job. I know Oliver knows this, and everyone else. It's like having a 2-year-old child with teeth, or as Oliver said, what do you say, a 4-year-old with a loaded gun? Something like that. But yeah, it's, you know, they can, if you have the right lifestyle, if you live in the middle of nowhere, if you don't have a full-time job, if you have other animals and you're around them all day long, yeah, possibly they can be successful, but we don't see those. We see, this is what we see. We see this, and we're going to go a little bit into that rescue in a moment. Who doesn't want to buy a puppy from that guy? That was a friend of ours who's a photographer, Joanna Sigmund. She wanted mean guy with puppies. So this is what we're up against. Timon, if you could switch to that website for us. Paula's going to read you a little something intelligent.
So this is the norm around the
Can
country.
you scroll up a little bit, Timon?
This is a breeder
Keep going.
who online.
Stop. Right there.
Our wolves are 99% wolf. There are others out there that mix with dog, plain and simple.
No, there are
we
other out
don't.
there.
There are other space out there. When a wolf is mixed with a dog, that makes a dangerous animal. To sum it up, no matter what you hear, ours are 99%.
No matter what you hear, they're already defensive on their website.
Our wolves have all the traits of a wolf.
Well, okay.
Because other people's wolves don't.
They don't have traits of wolves.
They are healthy, happy, and are very loved. In our facility, they receive everything that they need. They are potty trained, comwormed, have their shots, and come with a starter kit.
A starter kit, people! Who doesn't want a starter kit with your wolf dog? I don't know what that entails, but...
Remember, it's like you can start your own garden this week, and next week you can start your own
And in the
garden.
back, we have a starter kit.
They are born and raised in the home with my family. We love them so much. They are an important part of our family. They even eat before we do. They are loving, well-adjusted animals. See the available, oh look, it's Facebook. See the available babies and start your pack today.
Yes, people,
But wait,
start your
not all.
pack today.
You can get a Jinsu knife set too.
Okay, so you know, this is funny, but it's not, because this is real. This is live right now on the internet. And here's the thing about these people, and this is the sad part of this story. These people have moved from state to state, have been closed down by so many people. Their animals, their wolves are 99%. They're not calling wolf dogs. They're calling them wolves, and they're 99%. So what's the other 1% if they're not wolf dogs? First of all, they're what we call low nose, which means they are low to no. I mean, you see their animals, they are not wolves. They are barely wolf dogs, and they're certainly not well balanced. A lot of these guys end up in rescue every year because people who don't understand go and buy one of these from these clowns. And this is the worst part about it. I got a call about a year ago. We work with a network of rescues. Susan Wastell from Wolf in Colorado is the rescue coordinator for Wolf, and she has started a network, a nationwide network of rescues, and we all talk to each other all the day, and emails come in, and there's at least 3 to 7 animals every week, sometimes 15. I mean, it's crazy. So these people, when they get tired of their breeding pairs, when they get too old, they claim that they're broke and they can't take care of them and they need to be rescued, or they're going to put them to sleep. So they literally hold a gun to the rescue community's heads and say, if you don't take these animals, they will die. And they're also a non-profit somehow. How that happened, I don't know. So I get a call one day from a lady, and she says, you've got to help these people, you've got to help these people. They're desperate, this woman's a really nice person, she's got all these animals. And I'm like, I hate to tell you this, but please don't give this lady any of your money. And she was so mad at me. She goes, you have no idea what they're going through. I said, this lady's moved 3 times in the last 4 years, and she keeps dumping her breeding pairs and buying new puppies, or breeding new puppies so she can keep breeding. So this happens a lot. I wouldn't say any breeder is reputable. I'd say there's some that are better than others. But these are the majority out there where a lot of the problem animals are coming from are people like that. So that's one of the things that we're up against. And this is what we see. Now this is a rescue that, you should tell because it was your story.
Yeah, this was a rescue that happened this past year. Of course, if there are volunteers at a shelter and they see a wolf or wolf dog that's been brought into their shelter, they'll contact the local rescues and see if we can jump in and help, which is what happened. Got pictures of this boy and of course just started sobbing because you can see he's got mange, he's emaciated, he's obviously been through some massive trauma, and of course he's terrified. So of course we want to get him out of there as soon as possible. I called Susan, the head of the network, and I said, have you heard about this guy yet? She said, no. So, we started organizing, contacting the head of the shelter there, the officers, and organizing, and the amazing thing is it just worked out. The universe was just set up perfectly for this little boy. We're going to show you the rescue. Kind of what happened was Wolf, within half an hour, they said, we're going to take him. So the next step was organizing how we were going to make that happen, how we were going to get this little boy out of a West LA shelter to Colorado.
So we had a California license, so we had to pull for the Colorado. So we were kind of in the background on this one, but we just assisted with it. But it gives you a kind of a view of what these guys go through.
And how we all help each other too.
A lot of these are the videos that we use for fundraising. So they're kind of put together for that reason.
We reached out to Susan Wastell at Wolf Sanctuary in Colorado to see if she could put the word out around the country. And within about half an hour, she emailed me back and said, we're going to take him. They all fell in love with him immediately. So they just flew out, and we're meeting him at the shelter right now to help load him up so they can drive him back home. And we're just so excited.
times and the joy. So, of course, it's very rewarding what we do, but the investment is pretty severe in a lot of cases. Obviously, you see a lot of that, and there's a lot of animals that you cannot rescue. There's no room. You have to say no. And that's hard because we get pictures like that every single day, and you kind of have to, it's just hard. And no one in this country is big enough to take them all and has the ability to take them all. First of all, fundraising. That's one of the hardest things to do. When you are rescuing, when they see videos like that, money comes rolling in generally. But after the rescue's over, then these animals have got to stay with you. And you want to talk a little bit about the rescue?
Sure. Yeah, in an emergent situation, of course, everyone's hearts want to help save these animals, and so they jump in, and they help us rescue, and they help us get the animal back to health, and they help us, get them home safe. But then once everybody knows the animal's safe and healthy, then they I guess move on to the next emergency, not realizing, well, now we have to take care of this animal for the rest of its life, and that is extremely expensive. The rescue part usually happens so quickly. As you can see here, we have Sarge, and you're going to hear a little more about him. He had a broken leg, and Merlin had an extreme infection. So that's kind of what happens. Is it's you get through that emergency time, but all the rehab takes time. The doctor bills of getting Sarge's broken leg well, and then all the physical therapy and exercise and everything, medications, vet visits, X-rays, all that stuff adds up over time, and then the lifetime of care afterwards.
So the rescues happen usually within a week because they're going to be euthanized generally. So you have to get there in time to stop them from being euthanized. So everybody hustles, raises money as fast as they can, then they rescue, and then you get them back, and then there's the rehab. So all of our guys came with either physical or emotional issues. Most of them have been put through the ringer. They were bought and then neglected, or tied up in the backyard, or physically abused, or they have physical illnesses that need to be fixed. And so it takes months and months and months and months, sometimes years, to bond with them and build that trust again. We've been very, very lucky. We have Taboo, who's wonderfully balanced, and then we got Kona, and he's wonderfully balanced. And between, we can't even really take the credit. Our pack balances the rest of the pack. What they need is their pack. And a lot of these guys don't even know they can howl. And that moment when they... knew that was going to happen, Simon. That moment when they howl for the first time with their pack is just... it makes it all worthwhile, It's just really amazing. And then to see them start to fit in with the pack and work together and become this unit, and to see them heal is incredibly rewarding. And then, like Paula said, of course, we have the lifetime care of these animals. And that's the hard part, because sometimes it's lean. And I said we're going to be honest and talk about it. Sometimes we are struggling to figure out how are we going to feed these guys, how are we going to feed ourselves, how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that, and it's incredibly stressful, And then you take someone like Sarge. The other day, I was pretty stressed out. I was wondering where this was going to come from and how we're going to afford this, blah, blah, blah. You get out there, you got to get them out, and it's tiring, and you're in the morning, and you have 7 animals that got to get out, they got to get your attention. These animals are around people all the time now, so they need that. And I was up on top of the hill with Sarge, and I'm in my own head for a moment, and I'm worrying about how we're going to make it, and then all of a sudden I see Sarge run and start playing, and sorry, I'm very passionate about what I do, and I just realized, who gives a shit, this is what it's all about, and I just forgot about it, and I see Sarge running on this leg that he couldn't even walk on. So life is a little bit like that when you have a rescue, and this is probably the best time to pitch our monthly donor program, I guess. We're always looking for monthly donors, just so you know, so we can keep this going. Anyway, so we talked about that, so we want to share a few of our stories of a few of our pack. What do we have time-wise, Betsy?
Well, I was just going to ask Oliver if he was okay with starting a little late.
I'm right behind you. I'm okay with.
Yeah, because if everyone's okay, we can just shift maybe 10, 15 minutes, so that'll give you a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to have two amazing animals, and I'm going to come and visit you in a moment too. But this is the first thing we saw about Sarge. That's the first picture we ever saw. I mean, what would you do? You want to tell them the story?
So, in the network, he was announced, and his story was announced, of course, and all of the rescues were alerted that he needed rescue. He was owned by a family in Oregon. They were divorcing because the husband was incredibly abusive physically and mentally, and so they were going through a massive life change and could no longer keep any of the animals. They had allowed him, they had gotten him as a puppy, didn't really raise him correctly. He has a lot of food aggression. He does a lot of resource guarding, which is a natural behavior for wolves and wolf dogs. So it's something to be respected and to work with. And of course, if you have a puppy like we did with our puppies that we raised, you start to work with them to help prevent that kind of behavior, which they didn't do. Well, they tried feeding him meat, raw meat, which is what his diet should consist of, and he went ballistic. And they freaked out, and they said, "Oh, forget that. I'm going to put." Oh, I'm telling too much about. We have a code word when one of us is going on too long, and it's microwave.
Microwave. Yeah, I think you left something in the microwave at home.
Steve, are those hot dogs that we're giving treats? Are they in the microwave?
Microwave.
Anyway, he
had a broken leg.
He had a broken leg. He was obese, and he fell, and he had a broken leg. His leg literally snapped in half. And because the family didn't have any money and time and didn't know what to do, they basically gave him painkillers, put him in a tiny crate in the backyard of the house that they moved out of already, and he stayed there for a month with no one to take care of him except once a day they came, fed him, and let him out to go to the bathroom, put him back in, and that was it.
So he had 1 month before the house was going to be
There
sold.
was a date that he was going to be taken to the shelter and put down. And that date was quickly approaching, and we kept waiting, and we were like, has anybody said in the country that they can take him? Can anybody take him?
So actually Paula would say to me, "Steve, look at that face." And I would say, "Paula, we're full." "Steve, look, he's got 1 more week left." "Steve, look, he's got 3 more days left. Look at that face." "Steve, he's got 2 more days, he's gonna be killed."
Anyway, we knew,
Oh.
because rescues, we all function off of donations, like we've been telling you, we knew, everybody in the country knew this was going to be an insanely expensive surgery. And so no one felt like they could do it, they could step up and actually give it to him. And so Steve and I, not believing that we had any room, not knowing how we were going to pay for a surgery like that, we said, fuck it, we're going to take him. We're going to take him.
That'd be like that.
We did. Pardon my French. But that's
So-
what we did.
We did a fundraiser. We set off to go pick him up. Started out incredibly angry at the family for what they'd done to him, but found out that the son and daughter were going to drop him off in Sacramento. We were going to meet them. I, at the time, wanted to punch him in the head, and then I realized that the 2 kids were really just victims. of
They
this
were all
divorce,
victims,
too.
the entire family,
And,
they were victims.
And as you see in this video, this was a fundraising video that we did to raise money. And just to cut to the chase, we managed to raise $3,000 on the way up there, but it wasn't enough for his $10,000 surgery. And I don't know if Barbara's here today, but Barbara from Sedona actually paid for the surgery. And we actually took Sarge over to her house the other day to see her for the first time.
This is Sarge. He's 7 years old. The family he grew up with are no longer able to take care of him. His house was sold and his family split up. and through no fault of his own, Sarge found himself without a place to go. There are so many wolf dogs out there in need of help. And because of an injury to his leg and the cost of taking care of him, he was not an easy candidate for rescue. There were not many options left for this sweet boy, and his story melted our hearts. So Apex Protection Project decided to take the risk and step in. We knew it would be expensive and the healing would take some time, but we are dedicated to giving Sarge an amazing new life.
Welcome home, Sarge.
By this time next year, he will be running in the hills healthy and happy. Angels are coming from all directions to help support his recovery. Please be an angel. Help bring Sarge back to health. Be a part of his journey. Help save Sarge and keep the Apex Pack healthy by donating and sharing this video. Thank you so much for your support.
So I just want to say that the other day, one of our volunteers, Caroline, and I took Sarge for a hike. And we couldn't even get our cameras out in time to video it because we were in such amazement with tears running down our faces because it hasn't even been a year yet. And he was off leash and he just took off racing across the hills to chase a rabbit. He didn't catch it, thank goodness. But it was just, we've been dreaming of this moment and it was finally here, so.
And he was one of those moments.
Very chatty. This is the first time Sarge ever
Because we're really short on time, I'm just going to go through Riggs' story real quick. Got a couple of videos to show you, and then I'm going to have some special guests, and we'll answer a few questions if you have them.
But I just wanted to quickly say that that day was so important because not only was he recovering physically, but emotionally as well. It took him months to start trusting us and start trusting the other animals and to feel comfortable with them. So that was a huge day.
Yeah, he was 8 years old. He was injured, and his family of 8 years literally abandoned him. So he had a lot of recovery to do. And so Riggs.
And first of all, we would not have Riggs today if it weren't for Oliver. Sorry to call you out there, Oliver. Oliver actually contacted us and let us know that this animal needed emergency rescue and put us in touch with the woman who was facilitating that. So thanks, Oliver.
So this was the, just quickly to go over, this was the fundraising video that we put out originally. they had told us he had 48 hours. He was going to be gassed in Oklahoma in a gassing facility. And I guess they gas them in masses. It's cheaper that way, and they have scheduled time. So he had 48 hours. We normally would have looked for another place, because again, we were full. And we're always full. And they said he was a girl, which made it a little easier for us to say okay, because we're boy heavy, and you can't really put two boys together to count generally, or two girls for that matter. And about 20 minutes before the team got there, they said, oh, we made a mistake. He's a boy. He had 3 hours before he died. And
Our team had driven out 18 hours straight to Oklahoma.
the phone call went like
turning
this.
around.
The phone call went like this. Are you sitting down? I said, yeah, why? She goes, your girl is a boy. I'll call you right back. Paula went, what? Boy. And I picked up the phone, I go, bring him home. We'll take him. And we figured it out, and it worked out really, really well. So here's kind of his story in video. I use the same music all the time, sorry. I can't avoid finding new ones. So that was the first video we saw of him that someone shot with a cell phone, and we put that out there. And then Chelsea and the team helped bring her home, notice. Because he was a she. I guess they forgot to look when they darted him in that backyard. I don't know what they were thinking. But so then we sent our team out. It's the first time that Paula and I weren't hands-on, having to go out there. And we finally had to, be big boys and girls and stay home and run the show. And so our team got ready within a matter of hours, rented a van and got out there within 19 hours they were there and ready to get him. And I couldn't be more proud of how they handled it and how professional they handled it. Because when you go to a pound, you never have any idea. They were saying he's aggressive, he's really aggressive, he's trying to bite everyone, no one had gone in there with him. And so you never know what you're going to get. And so the way it was handled, I think, is really, really beautiful.
He is loaded up, safe, in our van, ready to make the journey back to California.
Thank you.
You know, it was worth it though.
Thank you so much. Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you guys. Thanks everyone.
All this work.
That was great.
Come on, give me my
Aw, good buddy. Good boy. Ready to go home?
Our team rock. And really, we couldn't do any of this without the support of our volunteers. They're unbelievable. Copy that. So I'm going to show you the last video is really when we bring an animal, we have to take them to the vet, of course, and it's not like taking a regular dog to the vet. You're going to see the vet here with a dart pole. Generally, when they're a little wilder, we can't inject them. We have to either dart them with a blowgun or a dart pole. It seems to work the best. So this was his first visit. He came straight out of there. Paula and I took him straight to the vet. Okay, that's off. Just one more, it's okay. Okay. You know what, you can just leave this leash on right now and just have a double leash. Alright, let's go take you in the front and we'll get some... Oh, there's a scale right here. You're safe. Easy. This way. Come on. Come on, little guy. Okay, you stand there, and then we're just gonna pull him right in between us. That's it. There you go. There you go. Okay. 64.8. Let me check outside first. It's okay, baby. You're safe.
No, I just want to do it when you're comfortable because once I poke him, he may really aggress.
Is that a good poke?
That was a very good poke.
You're safe, puppy. he stayed at the vet for a couple of days in quarantine, and they had those regular kind of cages in the back, and the vet said, "Oh, I've had wolf dogs in here before. They never climb out." I was like, "No, this one's special. You need to put a roof on here." So I threw a board on there against my better judgment. I don't know why I even let them. I put a little board on top, and I get a phone call at 7 o'clock in the morning. "Oh my God, the wolf has torn up the vet's office. He smashed the microscope." And I was like, "How
He
much
got into the
was
dog
that?"
food, he got into the laundry.
The whole place was trash. So the reason I had a tape measure on my belt then, and I don't know if you noticed, was because I was building them a metal roof so they could stay there for a few more days. And then he had every kind of parasite, worm, and God knows what else. But he came home eventually, and he's here today. Are you guys outside?
Oh, just that, keep your energy very low, don't clap or make any noise because they're very sensitive to energy.
So here's Caroline with Sarge.
Riggs.
And Caroline was in the video with Chelsea, who's back there with Riggs, when they rescued Riggs. Our rocking team.
Oh, did you see that?
Yes. What's up, buddy? We were just learning all about you.
And here we have little Riggs.
So Sarge is back, like he's still healing, but he's, pretty much back to like 90% at this point.
He has a titanium plate in there. He had snapped all these ligaments, so they had to go in there, and he had been walking on it for some time, so it was a 6-hour surgery. They had to clean all of the debris out first before they could start rebuilding it. So it took quite a while for it to heal. And he'll always have a little bit of a bend there, but it's very strong, so he can have a very normal, active life.
So does anybody have any questions before we close? Are you going to need a microphone, are you?
And we just wanted to share with you what goes on with rescues around the country. This is what it takes to rescue these guys, and to make a successful rescue. Question?
Does anyone want the microphone?
I don't need the microphone, I don't think. People purchase these and are planning to keep them by themselves? They
Yes.
don't understand the pack
Well,
at all?
no. And the problem is that the breeders don't really take the responsibility, most of them, I'm going to say, not all of them, don't take the responsibility to educate the people who buy their animals or prepare them for what they're getting into. So they actually kind of pitch it like it's really easy. So, the owners they think they're getting a wolfy looking dog essentially, and they have no idea what they're in for. So they're really, unless they do their research first, they're these innocent, they're taken advantage of really, and they end up in a situation that they never realized they were going to get into.
A lot of the general public said when we rescued Riggs, they were like, "He should live in a home, he's so sweet," because you see him sitting there in the kennel, right? And then you saw him go to bed. Yeah.
He had no socialization. He was an
Right at home.
absolute wildling. He was the sweetest thing on the planet, but wild as could be. No, he was very unbalanced and hadn't had a lot of interaction or exposure to anything really. So, we've had him since December, and you can see he's already a lot more balanced and grounded. But it's taken a lot of work to help him acclimate and to get him to a place, to the state here.
We had a question right here.
So
Yeah.
is she being now
being a he in reality been a big problem that causes that extra vocabulary?
Actually, it worked out a lot better than we thought it was going to. And it was touch and go there for a while because he came with no social skills whatsoever. He was separated from his parents at 10 days old, which is what they do with high-content wolf dogs to make them bond to people. Then he wasn't correctly socialized, so he was needy, like the neediest creature you've ever seen, but had no social skills. He also had no skills with other animals, so trying to integrate him into the pack was a hard lesson for him. It was literally the school of hard knocks. He got knocked around a lot. Luckily, we trust our guys. We didn't trust them enough to leave them in there overnight unsupervised, but we slowly took them on walks and got them integrated, and we were hoping that he was going to live with Kona because we had no other choice except to put him in our backyard, which is really not an enclosure. It's more of a playpen for the guys that live in the house, and was not really ever built for a high-content wolf dog that loves to jump and climb. Thank you for that. So we didn't know what we were going to do. We thought maybe he'd have to go somewhere else. But as it turned out, Kona became a really good beta and really taught him and got really annoyed by him a lot. And
Beta is like a big brother or sister. They're kind of the oldest sibling of a pack, and they help take care of the younger ones.
And he really ended up bonding with him, so they do really well together. They have a very large enclosure, and for the most part, they get along. And they have their little quibbles here and there, but they don't hurt each other. Anyone else?
Do you need the microphone?
Going back to the beginning of your program, you mentioned, as an example, you have something called Wolf Haven, where they rescue wolf dogs. That hopefully is not being confused with Wolf Haven International.
Thank you for
No, it's
mentioning
not.
that.
This
They
is
call
Wolf Haven,
themselves
Spirit of the
Spirit of the
Wild.
Wolf. And believe me, I believe they took that name Wolf Haven to confuse people and to give themselves some sense of credential that they don't really have because people
Wolf Haven
associate.
is international.
Wolf
and
Haven
wonderful
International is
organization.
an amazing sanctuary with a breeding program and everything up in Washington. Yes, thank you for bringing that
Not
up.
the same thing, thank you.